Today we're going to discuss several things about the 50-30-20 rule of money. So first we're going to discuss what it is, then how to decide if the 50-30-20 rule of money is right for you, how flexible a 50-30-20 budget is, and I'll show you an example of a 50-30-20 budget in action using my downloadable 50-30-20 budget template, which I'll link in the description box. And I'll even run my personal zero-based budget through the 50-30-20 template and tell you what our percentages are. What is the 50-30-20 rule of money? So the 50-30-20 rule of money is simply stated. 50% of your money goes to needs, 30% of your money goes to wants, and 20% of your money goes to bettering your financial future, such as savings or paying off debt. The 50-30-20 rule of money is based on your monthly after-tax income, which means before you even break down the numbers, you're working with the amount you have left from taxes, healthcare, and pre-tax retirement contributions. Those all come off the top. So we're only dealing with what makes it into your bank account. So if you're self-employed, you would take out medical insurance, pre-tax retirement, and all that before you do the 50-30-20 budget. So now we need to know what goes in each category. Let's start with your 50, your needs. So what falls under a need? We're talking food, groceries, not eating out, housing, so rent or mortgage, property taxes, home maintenance, transportation would be like car maintenance, gas for your car, registration, taxes. Then the utilities category is like electric and gas and water and sewer and Wi-Fi and cell phones. And then you would have your bills, which are all your minimum debt payments, only the minimum payment. So if you're paying down debt, the extra debt payment is going in a different category. Insurance, but not medical insurance because you've already taken that out. Life insurance, auto insurance, home and renter's insurance. Now let's move on to the 30% of wants. So what are your wants? We're talking entertainment, obviously, like Hulu, Netflix, Amazon Prime would be a want, movies, sports, going to sporting events. Subscription services like food subscription boxes like My Home Chef would be a want, not a need. Magazines, miscellaneous, like other subscription boxes, apps, all of your iTunes, the gym, because you can exercise for free in a million different ways. So the gym is considered a want. Restaurants, of course, getting coffee out, going out for beers, shopping just for fun, and then whatever else you think should be in a want. The last is 20% on savings and debt repayment. So debt repayment would be anything over the minimum payment. So your snowball would go in the savings. Student loans, auto loans, all the loans that you can possibly think of. And then you would have your savings like sinking funds, emergency savings, your emergency fund, any extra retirement savings that aren't pre-tax retirement or wealth building. So now let's go over an example of the 50-30-20 budget in action. So I've created the 50-30-20 budget template, which you can get off my website, and I'll link it down in the description box. And it looks complicated, but you're only dealing with these columns here on the left. The stuff on the right-hand side all auto-populates when you program in your number. So it's actually super simple. So let's say you take home $10,000 a month, and I'm picking $10,000 because it's math and I'm doing it in my head and it's easy. So with the 50-30-20 budget, you'd allocate $5,000 a month to needs, $3,000 a month to wants, and $2,000 a month to savings. And you know, I'm a huge proponent of having a cushion in your budget, a cushion being like your buffer between your budget and your life. Because everybody needs that buffer. So in my 50-30-20 budget, I do always include a cushion as an option, and that would be like $100. And that's just in case you go over in one of your categories. So when your budget is simple and you're using whole round numbers, it's easy for sure, but figuring out where everything goes is really the most important part of having a successful 50-30-20 budget. So in our example here, you can see that our needs are our mortgage for $2,500, our car payment for $350, our car insurance for $100, our life insurance, which we have listed as other insurance, for $100, gas for the car for $150, groceries are $600, electricity is $100, childcare is $500, loan repayment is $100, gas, sewer, and trash are another $100, personal care, which is anything that is necessary to everyday life, like shampoo and toothpaste and medicine, that kind of stuff, is $100. And finally, internet at $100. Now let's go over our wants. In our example budget, we have our wants as clothes for $100, cable for $150, home improvement for $500, dining out for $250, entertainment at $250, miscellaneous spending at $200, apps and iTunes at $50, travel at $500, gifts and charity at $500. And it appears that in my example, I may have put miscellaneous spending twice. Apparently, I think that's important. So let's go over our savings. And now in our savings, we divided our 20% equally amongst extra debt repayment, retirement, emergency, and investing. Each of those get $500. But sometimes there are areas that could span multiple categories. And this is where the flexibility of the 50-30-20 rule can either succeed or fail, depending on how much you need rules in your life. So let's discuss the flexibility of the 50-30-20 plan. In the 50-30-20 rule of money, it's up to you to decide what is a need versus what is a want. Sure, I gave you general guidelines, but if you are a person that needs absolute rules, the 50-30-20 budget, there aren't many. So let's look at an example of clothing. You saw in my example, I put clothing under a want. Go check out your own closet right now. Would you say clothing is a need or a want? Probably, if you're like me, it's a want because you have plenty of clothes in your closet to sustain you for a really long time. However, if you have young children, new clothing very quickly becomes a need. Because if you have a growing child, you can't very well send them out into the world buck naked. People will judge you. And what about travel? In my template, I listed travel under the want category because we allocate money and we consider travel a want. We allocate $500 every month for traveling. So if every month you're traveling, aren't you saving? So should it be in the savings category because you're not actually using it? So it's not really a want, it's a savings. And I also know that those of you who are part of the debt-free community are looking at this budget thinking 30% is way too much for wants. So let's go over our personal budget using my January budget where we're getting out of debt and saving and doing all that stuff. And we're going to use it as an example, which y'all saw in this video that I got going on right up here. So it took me legit about 5 minutes to plug my numbers into this template. It is super, super simple. And it is a phenomenal template if you are beginning budgeting. I did have to make a few alterations. One, because I put personal spending twice, and because there was nowhere for me to put Melina's ice skating. So if we do the math, the percentages for my budget are 52% for needs, 15% for wants, and 33% for savings. And that is just for the January budget. And honestly, the savings category is low. Our needs category is super high because we have that $1,472 payment for Melina's SAC, which is her school situation right now, SAC being school-age childcare, because both Mauricio and I work. And normally that would be going to debt. Plus, we don't have a house payment right now, right? So we have no mortgage, water, sewer, electricity, all of those things. So our needs would be more like 75% if we actually owned a house. So for us, the 50-30-20 rule of money would absolutely not work. So how do you know if the 50-30-20 rule of money is right for you? This is a great plan for people who don't want or need strict rules in their budget. They want flexibility. It's great for people who are new to budgeting and maybe just starting out, starting to grasp the concept of budgeting. It's easy. It's really easy. And that's primarily why people are drawn to it. So for those of you who are experienced budgeters and budget every month, take 5 minutes and plug your numbers into the 50-30-20 rule and put your percentages down in the comment section. I know some of you are super, super frugal, so your wants are going to be like 2% and your savings going to be like 80%. I know that's going to happen. In truth, your budgeting method is probably going to be different from anyone you see on YouTube or the people you know in your real life, and that is totally okay. Pick something that works and stick with it until it doesn't work for you anymore, and then pick something else. But truthfully, if you're struggling to decide, do the 50-30-20 rule. Head it over to my website and download the template and just get started, because 90% of the battle is starting. You can make changes later. It doesn't matter. Just start. So if you're still having trouble deciding and you want to hear the pros and cons of the 50-30-20 budget, I'll put a video right up here. So I'll see you in the next one.